Ever go to do something, a task for your business, yard work, cooking, something for your kids, and suddenly realize that you're not sure where to start? It's not that you don't know what to do. You just need a little help organizing your thoughts. It would be a lot easier if everything is written down, step by step. And that's where SOPs come in. Most solopreneurs think SOPs, standard operating procedures, are only for big companies with teams of 50 plus people. But the truth is that even if you're a business of one, SOPs can save you time, reduce errors, and keep your business running smoothly, especially on the days when your energy or focus isn't there. And today I get to talk to Layla Pomper of ProcessDriven. We'll dig into how SOPs can simplify your work and help you automate and delegate, and even free up more headspace for the creative stuff that you actually enjoy. I really loved this episode with Layla. We met at Craft and Commerce earlier this year, and I knew I had to get her on the show. So definitely listen in. She's got lots of great tips for us. And if you're wondering what SOPs you should create in your business, you can take my business overwhelm diagnostic over at streamlined.fm/overwhelm. It's 6 questions, and based on your answers, it'll send you a personalized blueprint for how to create SOPs, free up your time, and do more of the things that you want to do. But for now, let's get to the intro and then the episode. If you're overwhelmed by a chaotic business that's stealing time from your family, Streamlined Solopreneurs for you. Hey everybody, my name's Joe Casabona, and I've been there. And on this show, I will show you how to turn chaos into clarity so you can stop checking your email at the playground. All right, Layla, thanks for being here. I want to jump right into it.
Love it.
What's an SOP?
Okay, we are getting right into it. An
Yes.
SOP is a standard operating procedure. It's a really fancy, buzzwordy term that scares a lot of people. So for our purposes today, I want you to just think of it as a recipe, but rather than making cake or bread, you're making a result in your business of some kind.
Ooh, I love that analogy. I do acronyms, as we all do probably, and I have one called the GAPS framework, and it's gear, automation, playbooks, and support. And like the playbooks would be like the SOPs, but I love the recipe analogy. That I think that makes perfect sense. And do you need, like, I just work for myself. Do I need SOPs?
Yeah.
Like, it's just.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes and no, right? It's kind of, if we think of it like a recipe, do you need a recipe for how to boil water? Probably not. Like, I think we can handle that. But do you need a recipe for your grandma's oatmeal cookies?
Mm-hmm.
I do. Like, I can't live without that. And so if you are someone with a picture-perfect memory who does nothing more than boil water or the equivalent in your business, you're good. But for the rest of us, we forget things, and our brains are not great at storing stuff for years at a time. So yeah, I would say everybody could benefit from these.
Yeah. I mean, it's also nice to like not have to remember, like there's inertia or like there's an inertia killer in having to stop and be like, how many eggs do I need? Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like the dumbest stuff too. So if you think about, anyone, any small business owner or freelancer, we have to send invoices. And there's that little comment section at the bottom of an invoice where it's like note to customer. And it doesn't have a default value, but if you leave it blank, it looks weird. Love to use this as an example because it's like, what am I going to do? Sit there and type a little thank you so much for shopping? Like, no,
Right.
I'm just going to have it in an SOP and copy and paste it because that friction of having to think, what do I write in this silly little box? It's just not something I want to spend my creativity on. Stuff. And so if I can just grab the Fabletics shirt or I can just use the template when I was at a higher energy, I'm going to do a better job.
Yeah, it's like how if you do writing late at night or like whenever you're not at your best, right? You're like, oh, this is so good. And then you go in the morning and you're like, what the hell did I write here?
Did you just read the newsletter I was drafting, Joe? Because that's exactly how I felt before this interview.
Too often for me. It's especially when I'm like watching a Yankee game and writing my newsletter. Just like I read it the next morning and I'm like, I was definitely watching the Yankee game more than writing this newsletter. So.
And when you come back to it, but you don't know in the moment. And that's the thing, like our energy fluctuates. But if we want to have a business that is really something we're proud of, it needs to go to a higher standard than what we can hold ourselves to, because humans have moods and emotions and we get sick and we get tired and we want to watch the Yankees game. But our business, Process Driven doesn't watch the Yankee games. Sorry. Right. And it needs to be showing up at the same level of quality for every person at every hour of the day. And that's just not something a human can do. So we need to have systems to help us.
Right. Absolutely. And you work with small teams. I did notice that you added, are you a solopreneur, small team,
Yes,
big
sir.
team, right? Are you a small team or are you like a business of one?
Yeah, we are a small team. So the team size has really changed. We can nerd out about that stuff later. But I usually have about 5 to 12 people at any point in time on our team, but just a handful of full-time employees. So we keep it very small. I've always tried to keep Process Driven the size of our average client. And so for the longest time, that was teams of 8. Now it's around a team of 10. And so between contractors and full-timers, we try to kind of reflect our client because I think it just helps you understand the problems you're solving.
People say those who can't do teach, but like I have to be able to do to teach, right?
So agree. You and I have talked previously about, solopreneurship and all this stuff. And the reason I don't work with solopreneurs, a lot of the time I work with them once they have a team, is because I'm not in that place anymore. And I feel like Joe, what you do such a great job of is really understanding that balance of the solopreneur struggle and balancing parenthood and all of these other things. And that's what makes you so good at what you do. And I think we all need to kind of appreciate the fact that we're not that smart to be able to just make it up.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And thank you so much for the kind word. I'm definitely not. I'm not very creative. Like, I'm not creative in that regard, right? Like, I'm creative in a lot of ways, but not in the. Well, let me try to solve a problem I know nothing about. It's kind of like how people will go to Disney World and they'll be like, you know what they should do? And I'm like, they probably thought about that.
There's probably a story here.
Yeah, whatever you're about to say. Awesome. Okay, so you have a team, mix of like employees and contractors, right?
Yeah. At our peak, we had, I think it was around 8 full-time and part-timers mixed together. And then we've kind of really shifted over the last year or so to be more freelance and then just 4 full-time and 2 part-time.
Okay, so let's get into some kind of concrete things. I love to ask these questions. What's one tool you couldn't run your business without?
For me, it's probably going to be my task management tool. So I happen to use ClickUp, but if you are listening to this and you use Asana, Monday, whatever, Notion, all fine. But for me, that task management tool is really the heart of everything. It's where every single thing that needs to happen, how it's done, who's doing it, when it happens. I think if anyone listening to this has no tools in their business and just a notebook, and they're like, man, what should I spend my first $20 a month on? This. So a task management tool.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to echo what you said. Like, we're going to get into specifics for us. Don't be like, oh, maybe I should use this. Use what works for you, right? I've tried every personal task manager under the sun, right? I'm like, I'll try Things 3 because that's really pretty. And then, I'll try OmniFocus because that's really complicated. I always go back to Todoist because it has Zapier integration, right? Like actual good Zapier integration, not just email a task to your inbox Zapier integration.
Yeah. And I'm coming from the team leader perspective, right? And so like managing employees and access, there's these different factors that I think sometimes if you just listen to a podcast, you're like, oh shit, well, darn it. Oh shoot. You need to make sure that you use Todoist because Joe uses Todoist, and that's not really the case here. So I love that disclaimer.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let me ask you this, right? Well, I know this personally about you, so we can edit it out if it's not public knowledge, but you are married. Do you have like a different tool? Right? I feel like I'm always putting people on blast with that for some reason, even though like pictures of my kids are on the internet. Do you have like a personal task manager that you use with your husband? Because I know I've tried like really complicated stuff with my wife, and now we just use reminders because we both have iPhones.
Yeah. I had the good fortune of having my husband work in my business in different periods over evolution. So I was able to get him to sip the Kool-Aid of whatever the tool was at the time.
Nice.
So very fortunately, I'm able to use the same tool for everything. So we actually, as like a household, have basically the same thing that my business has. Like, here are the things that need to get done every month. Here's who's doing what. Because there's that old adage, clarity is kindness. And I just think being really clear of who's in charge of renewing the vehicle registrations is just a better way to live than finger pointing. Not that I've ever done that.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife, I've not gotten her to sip much Kool-Aid because she's a nurse and she doesn't need to live in these tools. Like, she already has complicated tools at work. But she has learned that like calendars are my love language. And so now she makes sure to put everything on the calendar.
Oh my gosh, my husband now uses Google Calendar. That was a big one. And now his like D&D group even has their own Google Calendar. Like, he's evangelizing. And I think that's a good testament to a system if it's simple enough that, D&D groups are picking it up.
Yes, for sure. I love that. Now, this is a little bit inspired because I was looking at your homepage and I saw, was it your why 99? This is why 99% of businesses can't run without the owner, which excellent intro, by the way, just like immediately drives the point home. But you have a bunch of tools like in the thumbnail. What are 3 apps on your phone, like for your business? Like, what are the 3 main apps you need on your phone? Yeah.
3 main apps on my phone. I have to look at my phone to make sure because I don't really use my phone that much. My task tool. Our shared email tool. So this is one that I don't think gets a lot of talk, but as much as I love not using email, it's a necessary evil still. So we use a tool called Missive, which allows us to basically share email inboxes. And it is a huge game changer. And then the third one, I'm not going to count filming stuff on here. So the third one is actually Gather. Gather is... And this is a little bit more team-based, but if you're in a community with other people, it's also cool. Gather is a virtual kind of world. Think like Farmville, but integrated with Zoom. And so I use that for my team. And so we each have our own virtual office. Anytime we log into work, we log into this Gather place, including on your phone. And you can kind of walk around the office to talk to people. And it sounds really weird, but it's actually the best thing we've ever done for having our fully remote team kind of talk a lot more often.
Yeah, I mean, it adds like a level of buy-in, right? Because you're not just like kind of sterilely sending off a Slack message, right?
Yeah, or scheduling a meeting for like a 5-minute conversation that just feels so regimented.
Around the idea of idea capture, right? When you are struck with an idea, does it immediately go into ClickUp, or is there like something? Because like I have Notion for a lot of project management, but like Notion is terrible for quick capture. So like I'm usually just putting it in Apple Notes.
Yeah. So I think this is one of, maybe not the first system I have people work on usually, but it's definitely a huge relief. If you're someone who's an idea generation machine, which Joe, I know you are, I am, like anyone who creates content, you naturally are.
Yeah.
There's that weird space where you're like, I have this thought, and if I have to store it in my brain, since I know I'll forget it like grandma's cookie recipe, it needs to go somewhere. But if I put it in front of other people or I even declare it online, all of a sudden it feels like an obligation. And it's just like too much. But if I just put it on a sticky note, it'll also disappear. So what I do is, yes, I put it directly into ClickUp, but I have kind of a separate area. Now, on the laziness factor, because you mentioned Notion's a bit hard to add things into ClickUp, same kind of thing. I've created as many shortcuts as I can. So having things like a little form that's saved on the homepage of my phone, where I can just open the form, type the idea in, submit, and it goes into ClickUp as naturally as possible. Those kinds of things really help. But it's purposely in the same spot, yet separate from where work actually happens.
Yeah, this is a really good thing to think about, I think. Because like a wall of like 400 Apple Notes is just that's very overwhelming to a lot of people, myself included. And so like I have a weekly startup routine where like I'll go through and like process the ideas, sure. But I like this idea of like, this is the reason I use Obsidian for like my personal knowledge management and then like Notion for actual work stuff, I think. Because it's like, if all of it was just there, I'd be like, oh, right. Oh, what is this idea I had 5 years ago? Maybe this is good.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think There's something to be said for also acknowledging how your brain works. I did a video on YouTube about, the best task management tool for your personality type. And the reason I did that video is because we would have conversations like this, and I would describe how I just dump everything in and I sort it later. But other people, like yourself, they'll put it in one spot, they'll process it all at once, and then they'll put it into their tool. And neither way is wrong. But if you're someone who likes bullet journaling and you like the ritual of rewriting things each day, guess what? You're going to love, Joe, what you described, the process of separating input from actually reviewing. If you're someone like me who hates bullet journaling with a passion, I could never get into it, well, then you probably like this other approach. But they're all right. They're just different ways of processing information.
Yeah. And understanding how your brain works is just like a really... Do you have advice for that? Because I think it's really easy to hear, whoever, Alex Hormozy, be like, just hustle, right? Just like work weekends. Yeah, bro, work weekends. Like make $100 million in
Success
books or whatever.
is lonely.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Gosh.
But I'm like, I can't do that, right? I even if I didn't have kids, I wouldn't do that. I care too much about my family, weirdly enough. So right? So people hearing us talk might be like, I don't know how I haven't noticed how my brain works. That's the least charitable way to put it, I think. But I haven't deeply considered the best way to work, understanding how my brain works, maybe is the way to put it.
Yeah. I would say the first thing is knowing this, hearing this conversation alone is probably going to be an unlock for some people that there are multiple ways that are all right. And that's step one. I think step two, I would say, is start paying attention to who you follow, their, dare I say, brain wiring, right? We talked here about bullet journaling, right? I hate bullet journaling. If you hate bullet journaling, you might identify with some of the other things I do like. If you love bullet journaling, that's a red flag that some of the things I like, you probably won't. I think it's very easy in the influencer age to be like, well, Hormozy uses school, so I need to use school.
Right.
And we have to remember the way he or she are wired. If we start paying attention to these subtleties of how, Joe's very aware of how Joe's brain works. Let me hear how he talks about things. The things I find in common is probably a good indicator that I can follow what works for Joe, and it'll probably work for me as well.
Yeah, super good. I'm going to recommend the Cortex podcast. Have you listened to that? It's real good. It's CGP Grey, who makes the informational kind of stick figure videos on YouTube, and Mike Hurley from the Relay Network. And hearing how CGP Grey's brain works is just it is a little scary, and also it was eye-opening to me, because it's my brain doesn't work like this, but I can see kind of shades of it. He has focus modes for every moment of the day. He time tracks literally everything he does. And it's just hearing how his brain, hearing that is probably a good barometer for where you're at on the scale between not productive at all and hyper document everything like him. So I would recommend that. Just pick a random episode from the last year and you'll get it. I love that show though.
Yeah. Oh, one more little hack I'll share, which is very, not everyone's going to agree. Personality types are also useful for this. For all of their flaws, the Enneagram, Clifton, there's so many different strength things out there. Most of them are baloney. But if you buy into any of them and you know what your type happens to be, a hack that a friend of mine turned me on to is going to the author's about page. Oftentimes on people's websites, they will publish oh, I'm an INTJ, I'm an introvert, all these other things. You can then kind of use that as a shorthand sometimes for at least how people think that they work or think that they think. And that can also be a helpful barometer.
Yeah. I can never remember the exact letters for my Myers-Briggs. I know that in relation to Harry Potter characters, I'm Professor McGonagall. So I always look up McGonagall Myers-Briggs and I'm like, oh, ENTJ maybe? Definitely extrovert for sure.
I believe that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That one's not a shock to most people.
No.
Okay. So I've been asking this question for the last few episodes, and I've gotten a really good kind of not pushback, but not the expected answer or whatever. It's the spirit of the answer. So it is, the exact wording is, walk me through your most productive day. And I'm curious to
Ooh.
see how you would answer that.
Okay. Walk me through your most productive day. My most productive day would look like getting up early, making a cup of coffee, and literally sitting right down in this seat
Mm-hmm.
and having absolutely nothing on the calendar, having absolutely nothing assigned for me to work on. And by the end of the next 4 to 5 hours, I will have gotten done more than a reasonable week.
Yes.
That's my very productive day. And then I'm at the gym or something by like 6 p.m.
Yeah. Love that. I like a lot of what you said there, because it's like you recognize the things that need to happen for you to have that day. And then you didn't say solid 8 hours of work, right? 4 to 5 hours. I think it's the best we can expect, hours. Right?
Yeah. And then I do like, just generally, I do like a 2-hour lunch every day. I don't do like full siesta, but I pretty much do nothing for 2 hours in the middle of every day. And then I work a little bit later to like 6 because I would rather just have that really long break.
I like that. Now, are there days where you like ensure you don't have meetings on your calendar, or like is it, yeah. So like how does that work for you?
I didn't always have this luxury. I will say that. I think this is something that maybe I could have done earlier on, but I certainly didn't. When it was just myself for those first few years, it was anytime a client wanted to book a consult call, like I'm there because need to make that money, need to pay that rent. That's how it goes. But these days I block off 2 days a week for no meetings, always. And then I have 2 other days that only get booked for certain things. So like today is podcasts. So if I have a podcast, like a wonderful one with someone named Joe, then I will be here. But otherwise, I have no meetings on Wednesdays. And Fridays, I have no meetings unless I have like coffee chats or masterminds, that kind of stuff I tend to do on Fridays. But again, often not. So I'm pretty bad when it comes to meetings. Just 1 to 2 days a week usually.
Same here. Last year when we didn't do summer camp, we didn't do summer camp again this year, but I thought, all right, well, since there's going to be at least 2 weekdays where I'm not working, the rest of my weekdays need to be available for people who want to meet with me. And that led to just like such an unproductive summer. And so this year I was like, 1 day a week. If it does, and unless people want to like pay for a coaching call, right? Then it's like a couple of extra days, but 1 day a week is my only meeting day. And that was really important because I knew that Tuesdays I'd be like in a blender and have a lot of meetings. But other than that, I knew like the other days I was working, I could actually get work done. Yeah.
And that's such a huge unlock. Like I do meeting Mondays. So I do all of my meetings back to back on Mondays, the ones that I do have to have with contractors or team or whatever, and just marathon done. I don't get anything done on Mondays. So that's fine.
Yeah.
But then Tuesdays, it took me a long time to realize I just need to block off Tuesdays for filming, for YouTube, for me. Highest energy day, just do the content work. And I swear it took me 3-4 years to realize that's a really important thing to do. And if I had just done those 2 things in year 1, I can't even imagine how much easier my life would have been following the advice that you're sharing here.
Yeah, well, and it could be hard to see it, right? I mean, did you come from like a gainful employment into your, right? And so there's like no rules to meetings when you're full-time employed, right?
I went from full-time employed to, coming from a background of parents who are business owners, but like the small business owner type that worked 7 days a week. And so in my mind, working 5 days was already a luxury. I had the wrong mindset.
Yeah, but it's like what we're constantly told, right? I mean, like there's like a mindset journal that's like, here's how you stay productive every Sunday. And I'm like, duh, I'm out.
Nope.
Nope, absolutely not. I mean, like, if I'm feeling motivated, I'll write my newsletter on a Sunday or whatever. But like, no every Sunday, right? Like if Sundays for family for me. And so like, that's really important. When I was at the University of Scranton, we had a no meeting Friday rule. And it was the loosest of rules because I had meetings on Fridays.
Oh, gosh. That's the worst. Yeah, I think separating that like work ethic. We're from Pennsylvania. So like that East Coast work ethic was very much ingrained into my brain of just you have to work hard to get somewhere. And that's partially true. Sorry, yeah, Hormozi's slightly right, but also not nearly as hard as what I thought I had to be. You know what I mean? Boundaries.
Right. There's a reason that Hormozi just made $100 million in a book launch, right?
Right.
I could tell you that I make different choices, right? I didn't go to CEX this year because it was my kid's first day of school, or their first week of school.
Yeah.
And my son was getting on the bus for the first time. And I wanted to see that. And so I'm bummed I didn't go, but I would have been more bummed to miss that. So let's move on to, you do a lot of SOPs. How does that translate to automation, right? Automation is my favorite thing in the whole world. One of my toxic traits is over-engineering stuff. So when you build out SOPs, do you focus more on delegation or automation? Is it a mix of both?
Yeah. So kind of the way we approach systemizing businesses, because that's what we do. We help teams systemize. And there's a whole lot involved in that, but really it's habit formation. It's giving them the skills and the habits to become basically like you, because some of us are naturally wired, the rest of us can learn that skill. And for us, SOPs is kind of under the how category. So if you want to figure out how to do something, you can create an SOP for it. If we think of SOPs like recipes, so this is grandma's cookie recipe. This shows me how to send an invoice, how to edit my podcast, how to whatever. The SOP is a written instruction. If you want to automate, the thing you will need to do, whether you're giving it to a human to do or to a robot, is to have that written instruction. Because if I'm going to go into Zapier, or if I'm going to go with Make, or if I'm going to start hodgepodging together different things, I'm going to need to know exactly what needs to happen, in what order, and exactly what that memo should say on my invoice, for example. And so I like to use SOPs as the first step, because an SOP is like a dumb automation.
Yeah.
It's something you can give to a human or yourself and say, hey, if it's not perfect, use your little human brain and fill in the gaps. Well, if we were to give an imperfect SOP to a robot, to an automation, well, they're not going to use their robot brain. They don't have one. They're just going to do exactly what you say, even if it's incorrect. So I like to think of automation as almost the step 2 after having some kind of written recipe.
Yeah, perfect. I think this is part of the reason why I'm wired that way, right? I have a master's in software engineering. I wrote code for a very long time.
Yeah.
And we would always say, a student or a fellow classmate of mine would say, oh, the program did it wrong. And we would always say, program does exactly what you tell it to do. So there's a flaw in what you've told it to do. And the same thing with automation. I always tell people, are the inputs clear? Are the outputs clear? Is what you put into it always going to be the same? Is what you get out of it very obvious? It could probably be automated.
Yeah, exactly. And when we think of recipes or SOPs, I like to go with the baking metaphor.
Yeah.
If you have a recipe, it gives you the ingredients list. That's your inputs. And it also usually in a recipe site, besides all the spammy ads, you'll see the picture of the cake. You can be like, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So you've got your inputs and your outputs, and that's why the recipe can make sense. And arguably AI is going to be coming for recipe websites. But when it comes to our business, those inputs and outputs are imaginary. And so if we just ignore those, we don't even know where we're ending, where we're starting. We just start playing around with Zapier and say, what could I automate in my business? We run the risk of just tinkering. And unless you are an engineer brain, you're probably going to end up wasting a lot more time than if you just held back a little bit and figure out, like you said, those inputs and outputs, the ingredients, and the picture of the cake.
Yeah. Imagine it's I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know why Harry Potter's... that must be why Harry Potter's on my brain so much. But Hogwarts Legacy, super fun video game. It's an open world, right? It's a big open world game.
Yeah.
And so I think probably you just running around doing stuff is tinkering. But if you're really keen on the story, you need to follow the mission breadcrumbs or read the cheat code guide, right? I used to have a magazine with that. And that's probably just on the internet now. It's just YouTube videos will show you exactly what to do. But if you don't want to tinker, if you don't want to kill time wandering around the world, then you need those instructions, those step-by-step instructions first.
Right. Right. And it's so much faster to it sounds weird, but it's faster to go slower long term. Unless you are that weird 1% that can just jump through all the hoops, which even I do a lot of automation stuff. I wouldn't do it. You just learn so much by writing it down, and it doesn't have to take long. 5 minutes, 10 minutes of saying, here are the things that happen. Here's what the text should say before you start going into all the little bits and bobs and all the different apps and tabs. That will help you make the process better. Better still if you actually use it first.
Yes. People who have watched my live streams know that I do just jump into it sometimes. What they will also know is probably half the time it ends with, oh, well, I guess I couldn't do that thing I thought I could do with Zapier, right? So, I've happened to make it monetizable content, but if it's just something for your business and this is not really what you do in your business, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. Well, what you're doing by basically playing it on hard mode is you're building a skill. You're building your skill to be able to improv it. Most business owners, freelancers, we don't need to build the skill that you have, Joe. Like, we don't need to spend 10 years becoming an automation wizard. We need to get our business done. We need to get work done with as few mistakes as possible. So for us, doing it 10 minutes at a time is probably going to be faster than trying to go around and become an automation wizard in our free time, because most of us don't have enough free time as it stands. Like, we need to go hug a tree instead.
Yeah, for real, right? I mean, that's the reason I don't edit these episodes, right? I could learn how to edit. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Modern Family quote, Phil Dunphy. Like, the car was in neutral rolling down the hill and they're trying to stop it. And he keeps yelling, slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that's just that's always stuck with me. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny how you kind of learn these lessons the hard way. And I'm sure there's people listening who are like, nah, that doesn't apply to me. No. It does. It does, my friend. It does. And please learn from this.
It's like the opposite of what we were saying with task managers or tools, right? Like, there are some things if it works for you, if it works for you. This is just kind of a universal truth, right? Unless you're a savant, right? Then you're probably not. You're probably not listening to the podcast, right?
Exactly. And hey, one more thing I want to hit on before we move on from this. For people who are super lazy, we've talked about some lazy ways. We could build the skill of automation. We could not really build the skill, but get it done. There's also that other option, which is what you said with editing here, which is we just hire somebody. I know we talked about solopreneurship and all this other stuff, but when you hire somebody to do something for you, one of the hidden benefits is you get their SOPs. You get their process. It's all done for you. And so a lot of times I think people worry about their first delegation. They're like, oh gosh, $20 an hour for that virtual assistant to send my invoices? But a good virtual assistant knows how to send an invoice properly and has a protocol that they go through in order to make sure that invoice is sent correctly, and you don't have to create it. So that's the laziest option, which is a great one to go down.
It's a great option, right? Did I do a podcast episode? I might have done an episode on this where I talk about I made a mistake of trying to do something myself instead of hiring the expert whom I interviewed on this show. And I was like, I'll just take what she said on the episode and do it. And then didn't work out. I ended up hiring her anyway, right? So
yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we're coming up on time. I do want to ask you, what's one of your favorite automations that you have for your business?
That's a good question. Favorite automation. There's so many tiny ones that really make a big difference. I would say the biggest one is actually somewhat manual. So I'm kind of cheating in the automation arena, but it happens automatically. So I'm going to consider it an automation. But we have an automation in our task management account that basically every week we check for things that have kind of slipped through the cracks, meaning they're overdue, they've missed an assignee, they've missed a due date. Someone at some point said, I need to do this thing. I put it on this area that says, yes, we have to do this. And for whatever reason, life happened and that didn't come through. And so this automation basically just surfaces those and says, yo guys, did you mean to just ignore this? Pay attention. And that automation has saved our butts so many times because often someone will be out of the office and that thing will be on their plate, but we wouldn't see it. Or, something just slipped because we inputted a task on the fly. And having that automation basically makes sure that we don't break any promises, because that's something that's really important to me as a person and a business owner, is that, I don't want to say integrity, but integrity as a practice. Like if I say we're going to do something, we're always going to do it. And
word is bond is what my brothers and I would say.
Right.
Word is bond.
Word is bond.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right. I love that. And actually this is something that's been really top of mind for me lately, is that you're using automation to better human interaction and human relationships, right? Like someone just added me on LinkedIn. It was like hey, Joe, I saw you interacted with this content. And I'm like, we know each other personally. And so like, I understand what's happening, but like, this is a weird miss. And so like, I've been really big on like, don't let automation take the humanity out of what you do, like help you put more humanity into what you do.
Yeah. One of our values is make work human. And I think that's where this comes into it. Actually, now I have another automation example. What I was doing, we took a brief break here and I opened my email and I saw one of these alerts. One of the automations I've set up recently is every time we have a new client join, because we have courses, so we don't necessarily get to meet them. I have a Zap set up that looks at that person's information and then sends me an email summarizing like, here's who this person is, here's their business, here's their website. And it's just so cool to get this like detailed, basically email to myself every time someone joins, where I can kind of get to know someone asynchronously, which is the same thing. It's making it more human in a scale that you just wouldn't be able to do by going in and checking your, Kajabi account every single hour. That wouldn't be sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let me ask you, gosh, I'm really sorry if you already said this, but is that based on a form that they filled out, or are you using everybody take a drink for the 2025 drinking game? Do you use AI?
Okay, so here's one of my soapboxes, Joe. I hate forms. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate surveys. I hate forms. I hate asking people anything because, and I think this is like introversion coming out, I'd rather observe. And so a lot of the things that you're seeing in this particular one is based on information that we've passively absorbed, like their email address and then looking up their domain. And yes, AI will then pull their domain and just get me a summary of their website. But I don't like asking people to tell me things if I can observe it instead, because I think our self-assessments are not always as accurate as our behaviors.
Right. I'm really good at multitasking is something a lot of people say. Like 100% of people who have said that have lied about, or not lied, but were wrong about that, right? Yeah. None of us are good at multitasking. Thinking. Yeah, right. Yeah. So like, I think that's really smart. I don't know if I gave you the benefit of like mostly filling out the form that I sent to you for this, but usually when I invite somebody onto a podcast, I fill out the form. I have a little text expander snippet. And I pass all of the form fields that I know via a URL to the form so that they only really need to upload their preferred headshot and like tweak their bio before booking the time, right? And so like, it's also a lot shorter than like the apply to be on the show because I'm inviting you. I know I want you to. I want to have you on the show. So I'm all for make them fill out as little information as possible. And I think that the way that you're using AI in this case again helps you show up, right? Because it's either you're not going to find this information or you're going to have AI send it to you based on, I assume like a pretty strict prompt that's like, don't make stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just send me the summary of the LinkedIn company page and stuff like that. So it's just like a few lines, but it's enough that I know this person, that when I see them in a co-working call, I can say hi. Like it just builds that association just like you would if it was in the real world. But I do want to say on the parameter note, I feel like that would be a very good piece of future content for you, Joe. Because people listening, they're like, what the heck? They're passing along values onto a form. What? That's one of those like hidden ninja things that is so simple once you learn it that arguably might be people's first intro into automations that you definitely need to produce more content on.
Yeah, and I get a lot of compliments on it too. Like your onboarding process is like wizardry, right? And I'm like, oh, thank you very much. And this is the last question I want to end on because your YouTube videos are great. And then your newsletter is basically like a riff on your, more or less, right? On the YouTube video. What is your high level overview? What's your content creation process like?
What is my content creation process? Oh, it's changed a lot over time. Right now, I'll give you where it is right now. Right now, I every quarter or every month, depending on the season we're in, I sit down with a guy, a consultant who's really good at YouTube. And I'm like, yo, Josh, here's the things I'm really passionate about. Here are the questions I've been getting. And this contractor helps me develop like what would be a good way to package this into YouTube videos. And normally the conversation, which is about an hour, ends up with a bunch of question marks and like way too many pieces of content for what we could actually produce in a quarter, because we do about 3 to 4 videos a month. So what I will do from there is post a ridiculous amount of polls. And I know I just said I don't like surveys, but I do like polls. And so I will take all of the video ideas, the questions, the topics, and I'll put them on our YouTube community tab or LinkedIn or both and ask people. So like today, I posted online being like, well, what's the bigger problem for your team? Getting team buy-in or knowing how to systemize? Things like that to help me pick which categories of topics to work on. Usually there's a clear winner. And then from there, we kind of schedule out. We usually have about 13 videos in the pipeline at any time, which is about a quarter. And we have kind of this set flow for how a video gets scheduled, the stuff that goes into it. And most importantly, I'm not in charge of that flow. That is the biggest unlock for me.
Yes.
As a creator, I have a project manager and her whole job is to yell at me. I hired somebody, I pay her full time to yell at me, amongst other things that she does.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And she manages that whole pipeline, all the freelancers and myself, who is the worst contributor to that pipeline. And I just try to make sure we're always at least 3 videos to 5 videos ahead in that queue. And then from there, like you said, we repurpose. So things go into newsletters, things go into shorts and other stuff, but a lot of that is team-led, which is nice. So the newsletters are actually drafted by my team member, and then I rewrite them to tell a personal story or something like that. So it's as hands-off as possible because I find that that's what makes the content actually feel real, is if I'm not thinking about, is the grammar right? And is the spelling right? And oh my God, I need to get it done by Wednesday. I can just be like, oh, here's the story behind the scenes of this video.
Yeah, great. Few really great takeaways here. Like you talk to a YouTube expert, right? Because this is like, my flow is basically, I should make a video about this. And then like, I spend too much time on the packaging and I know it's not very good.
Terrible packaging.
Yeah, just like I hate making thumbnails. I made one where like my hand, I had 2 different pictures of me and I used the hand from one and I'm just like, what have I become?
Yeah. And I did that for years. Like I was in the same boat. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to be good at all of it.
Right. And I would say like part of it is like you probably do have to do the process a little bit to understand it and delegate it out. But
exactly.
I would
you
say
have to
like
know what good is.
Right. Yes. And like delegate sooner rather than later because like there's a lot of inertia to making 2 thumbnails that you're going to A/B test on YouTube. Or a lot of effort rather. It's too much work. And I don't think I'm good at it and I don't particularly like it. And the ones that I always think are going to do well don't. So like, I don't know. Yeah. So
dude, I feel like my favorite question to ask YouTubers is like, what's the video that you're so proud of that did terribly? Because we always have them. It's never aligned. And I think just separating that and really putting somebody in charge of putting the bow on things gave me so much freedom to just focus on the content. But the first 6 years, I did all of it. So, or almost all of it. So I think it's a very normal spot to be in. And one other thing I didn't say, but you're an AI automation nerd that I want to mention is the other source of ideas that I bring to that YouTube dude that helps with packaging is from my audience. So actually, whenever anyone joins my email list, I send them an email saying, what is the main challenge that you're looking to solve right now? Or something like that. If I can make a video on any topic, what would you want it to be on? That kind of thing. And that goes right into kind of a spreadsheet that I then pull up in that YouTube thing. So it's not just my own ideas.
Yeah, really smart. So my takeaways from this episode are, I need to change the first question that I ask people who join my mailing list because I do not get a lot of responses. And I know the problem I'm making, right? It's like, what's your biggest problem? And it's like, that's such an open-ended, what's my biggest problem today? Or like, so I think it's more like, I need to finesse that a little bit. Do more polls. I like the difference between a poll and a survey, right? It's like, it's like when you get an email from a brand that's like, hey, we'll give you a $20 gift card if you fill out this survey. And if the survey is like more than one page, I'm like, I'm out. It's not worth $20.
Right.
But if it's like 5 questions, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not, right? Or if it's like a poll, even better, right? So I really like that distinction.
A or B.
Yes, exactly. Layla Pomper, thank you. So I'm going to do that again. Joel, reset. I was too far away from the microphone. Layla Pomper, thank you so much for joining us today. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Head over to processdriven.co. That's my website that has all of the goodies, including the YouTube channel and all the nerdy stuff we've been talking about today.
Nice. And I do have, I'll say it on the air, I do have another link for the show notes. I don't know if it's been a while since you've submitted this. go.processdriven.co/Joe. Didn't realize how much that would rhyme saying it out loud.
It rhymes so well. Go to go.processdriven.co/Joe with an E.
Yes. Love that. I saw that and I got real excited because I do the same thing, right? And so love that. So that'll be in the show notes, as well as like a bunch of stuff that we talked about here. But thank you so much again for spending time with us today. I really appreciate it.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening, as always. Until next time, I hope you find some space in your week.